Welcome to the Austin Behind the Creative Scenes podcast, where we explore how creative individuals already in the industry made it, are making it, or even got out of it. Their everyday actions could be the things you are struggling with as a performing artist. I'm Austin, your host, and together we'll embark on a journey to discover a little bit more about the real life behind the creative scenes. Join us as we delve into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips from people who have been there, done that, and learned from it. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting your journey, this podcast is for you. So let's dive in and explore the world of the entertainment industry, one series at a time. This podcast is sponsored by the award-winning Mortgages for Actors, the financial services for you and your family. Visit the website to find out more. Hello, Steph. How are you?
Hello. I am good. I've got some salmon in my teeth because I've just scoffed down lunch so that I can see you.
Well, that's all right then.
And the
Luckily,
sun...
we're far enough away, it's okay.
No. The sun is out and shining and I've had a little walk and yeah, I've been really, really productive today. So I'm feeling good.
Good
What
day
about
so
you?
far then. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
same.
you?
Really productive, really good. Had loads to do and got loads of it done, so that's always nice. That might actually get some time to get this mop cut at some point. So, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Oh, God. I really should prep that.
All right, make it brief.
Who am I? I'm Stephanie Morgan. I run both the actor training and I also built and run Bodlondeb studio and retreat in North Wales. And I am a director and I train actors. I specialise in a thing called the Meisner technique. And I'm also an NLP practitioner, soon to be, hopefully, a master practitioner. I've just started the training for that. A heart math coach and an MBIT master coach. That's the short version.
Wow, I think you're overqualified for this position. But we'll go with it anyway. No, it's good. So what's your background? What made you start deciding you wanted to do this? Or do any of these?
So I always wanted to be an actor since I was 5. It was that and run a sweet shop. So, they were close contenders at 5 years old. And I've
Perfect.
just, it's in my blood, really, and my bones and every cell of my body. And if you look at look at where I've come from, it's kind of really obvious that I've ended up where I am. So my retreats, I combine outdoor activities with the training, with the actor training. And I used to be a manager for the YHA summer camps. They used to be performing arts camps, and then when the funding got cut, they got turned into action adventure camps, but I carried on doing the drama. So it's oh look, there it is, the outdoor stuff with the theatre stuff, of course. And I discovered the Meisner technique back in 2008, maybe 8. At the same time as training in NLP, and so they've just always been inextricably linked. And I started to facilitate Meisner just because you need to practice it. And then I ended up kind of, it's like £2 a class to cover the teas and coffees and stuff. It's just grown and grown. And then there's one day where I was like, what I do with actors, actors are humans, and everything I do is about stripping off the program responses, stripping off the layers and the defense mechanisms so that the actors that I work with can show up and be available. It's isn't that a thing that actually humans would greatly benefit from as well? So I work with both humans and actor humans.
And others, yeah.
And others. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, before we deep dive into anything else, tell us a bit more about the Meisner technique. What is it? What does it mean?
It depends who you talk to, really. So there's like classic phrases that get bounded around observing and responding, being in the moment, that kind of stuff. To me, more recently, over the last couple of years, or last year probably even, I've identified it as being a technique that helps you pay attention to what helps you to connect with somebody else and what gets in your way of connecting. So often actors are told, like, be in the moment. Yeah, if you could just do that, but just more in the moment. It's like, okay. But most people don't actually know what it is, like how to be in the moment. So the Meisner technique is a set of exercises that build on top of each other. Like, you can't do this stuff unless you've done this stuff.
Yeah.
That help just strip you back down to the basics of being human, and then just bit by bit so you start off in a chair just looking at each other, so you don't even have limbs to concern yourself with, and then you're up on your feet and it's looking at the impulse to move, and so it's like, oh, okay, I've got limbs now, and then it's where your attention goes, and can you do something and have your attention on your partner at the same time, and investing in the reality of doing. It just brings all the layers that you need just bit by bit, so that then, it's like people really like to just go into text work. Like, I've been training people recently whose their training has just been with text work, and it's like, that's this is going to be a weird analogy, bear with me. I might
No,
retract
go on,
this
go on.
shortly, but it's like
I'm good at
a
weird analogies, so.
doctor. Well, like, it's like just going, right, oh, you want to be a doctor? Okay, cool, we'll just send you straight into surgery and we'll see if you can find your way through, whereas, like, you need to start at the basics, at the very, very basics. So
Build the foundations.
Yeah, it is the foundations. If you don't know what gets in your way, if you don't know how you're showing up in the first place, I saw something earlier about aware. You can't make changes unless you're aware. And most humans and actors and humans, like, really have got no idea of what it is that they're doing and how they're doing it. So, but there's also like the Meisner technique, and then there's like my technique, and a lot of people say, yeah, so, like, technically I'm not
So,
teaching the
like, your
Meisner
take on the
technique.
Meisner technique.
Yeah, well, he's dead. There is nobody teaching the Meisner technique,
Oh,
like,
right.
and even somebody who was taught by Meisner is teaching their own technique. And also, it was developed years ago, and times have changed. Life has changed. Society has changed. And
Yeah.
so freezing it in time, I don't think is very wise either, especially considering it's about working now,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that's quite interesting because, there's loads of people that had skill sets back in the day, but as time has gone on, everything's changed around it. The skill set might be amazing, but it doesn't work for what we currently live in. So, yeah,
yeah.
adapting it like you do is perfect, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like, if he lived on, he would have carried on adapting it, just like he did, like Stanislavski did as well. It would have, like, they would have continued the growth, because we're intrinsically ephemeral. We're ever changing. There is no, you can't put the essence of me in a wheelbarrow. Like, I am a process, you're a process. We are all constantly changing. And freezing a technique in time is just, yeah. So I teach Meisner based, really. And then really it's my work. And then really what I do with actors is help them develop their own technique. I don't care if they're great at the Meisner technique or even my technique. It's like, can you develop your own? No?
Yeah. No, that's really good. And then they can take those skills away with them as well. That's nice.
Well,
So
it's
how
that
does the
phrase,
retreat,
isn't it?
oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it's that phrase of like, everywhere I go, there I am. You know, it's not everywhere I go, there Steph is helping me out, like, or there Meisner is helping me out. It's everywhere I go, there I am. And if I'm the one that's there
Yeah.
with myself all the time, well, then it's me that I need to rely on, not somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, especially if like most actors, you are your own business, you're self-employed, you're the one that is the business. So you need to invest in yourself as much as you need to also learn how to be yourself, don't you? Because you're everyone wants to see the best side of you, and building up that foundation first so you can be yourself wherever you go is essential, if you ask me. So
It absolutely is essential.
Tell me more about your retreat. So what does the retreat teach people, and why is it a retreat rather than just like an office-based situation?
So the sun is like coming in my window. It's so beautiful. I'm trained in a thing called MBIT, which is where neuroscience is backing up ancient wisdoms. So head, heart, gut. Neuroscientists are saying that we have three brains. Not wishy-washy. The gut is now mainstream in like GP practices and stuff. The heart is a couple of years behind, but more and more thousands of papers are getting put out about it. And so a lot of people learn stuff and it comes into their heads and it's like, great, I've learned it. It's like, no, you haven't. It's like when people say, oh yeah, I've learned about the Meisner technique, and I'm like, oh great, who have you trained with? They're like, oh no, I read the book. It's like, no, that isn't it. That it's not an academic process. It needs to be a felt sense. And that's the head, heart, gut. Like there needs to be a process that brings them together. So the retreats are like, I mean, there are many things, but it's like, how many different ways can I get into your neurology? Can I help the learning that sits in your head drop down? So that when you leave here, it's not just a concept in your head. It is like, I feel it. Like it makes sense, and it makes sense, And also, like, I think that a lot of people train in this really safe environment in a studio, like, and then it's like, hang on a second, there's things going on outside of my control, and like, I don't know how to bring all of that stuff that I've learned in this really safe environment in to help me now. So my theory is that we learn the stuff in the studio where it's really safe. And then we go wild swimming in ice cold waters. We jump off cliffs. We go stand up paddleboarding on the white waters where the world is really chaotic. And I'm there, like, just to remind them what tools they have and how to use them. And then they can practice, like, being in a chaotic or, environment where their stress system has been woken up, their fight or flight. And then they can, and then they'll know, like, actually know what it is to ground themselves. And they've practiced it many times over, practiced it. And it's just fucking beautiful here. Like,
I mean, it's North Wales, isn't it? Right up in Snowdonia. Which, if you ask me, is one of the most beautiful parts of England anyway, or Wales, I should say.
Wales.
The UK. And
it's very special.
What a place to be.
And it's also like everybody comes here, and I work with actors that are all in different places of their careers. So the last couple of retreats have had people that have come out of, you know, like big feature films where they've been leading roles, through to people who are emerging, just going, I've got this fire and I don't know what to do with it, you know. And it doesn't matter, like they're just, what I'm always like really amazed by is no matter where people are at, like the stuff that they're needing is very similar. And it's really beautiful, actually, that the people that have been in the industry for years get to learn off the people that have got the flame and the fire and the curiosity, and they haven't been hurt or tainted yet. Yeah, oh, that's a terrible thing to say, you know.
Yeah.
But and so they're reminded of the lust for it that they had when they started, and are reminded to be curious and not so closed because they've been hurt, you know, over the years. And then the people that are new to the industry get to have the wisdom of the people that have been in for years. And also, like, we can really put people on a pedestal, and I really just don't think that that's helpful, you know. So realizing, like, oh, we're all humans, and there's stuff that's hard and there's stuff that's easier, and we're all humans, and like, I am doing the best I can with what I've got right now, and well done me, you know.
Yeah, I completely
So
agree. And
so
I mean, I think
so
people.
why the I was just going to say, so
Sorry.
why the retreats is like, we're just better together, aren't we? And like the journey is, it's deeper, and there's like this community, this like just like, it's such an important part for me that people have got each other's backs. You know, it's so easy when I look around, people giving each other a hard time and, you know, not supporting each other. But within the Both Feet community, like, we have got you, you know. And that's like just one of the best things about the retreats, is that it really brings people together. Like, people really go through some stuff here. Like, you know, we're deep diving into who you are, what gets in your way of connecting, and, you know, these patterns, they'll touch every part of your existence. And so as we look at them, it's like, oh wow, I do that here and here and here. The way I choose my jumpers is the way I choose my husband. Interesting, you know. It's deep stuff.
They don't always fit, but yeah. So do you mainly do like do you mainly do groups, or do you do single one-on-one peoples, or do you try and keep, you know, massive groups, small groups, that sort of thing? How do you work it?
So it's groups. It's most retreats are a maximum of 10. I can sleep up to 12, but I unless it's a returning group where I'm not teaching but I'm coaching. Like, if I'm coaching returning group, it'll be a maximum of 12, because I know that I can get them working, like, well, and hard while they're here. But when I'm teaching, it's a maximum of 10. And like, even before the retreats, I wouldn't do massive groups. Like, I'd rather turn people away and lose money than lose the quality of the training and the quality of the experience. And I
think that's
do
really important.
one-to-ones.
Quality and quantity, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like, I see all these other classes. I meant to say classes, and then like 10 years in Leeds, and then my accent's a bit like, but like, you know, I see other people with their classes of 20, 30 people, and I'm like, I cannot comprehend how that is. Like, I couldn't pay you attention if I had a class of 20 or 30 people. Like, you couldn't be important to me if I've got a class that big. Whereas people come and train with me and they're not just somebody that comes and goes. Like, you are important to me and I'm invested in you. You know, the second we start working together, it's like I think about you and I wonder if you're okay. And, you know, the stuff that's got in your way, I wonder if you've started to do things about it. And I just, it's not about, like, obviously I've got mortgages and bills and debts to pay from building the retreat and stuff, but like, this is just not about money for me. It's about you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, like, I have to go to a lot of training meetings, a lot of compliance meetings and things like that. And I've got to be honest, when there's up to 10 people in a room, you feel like you're being heard, you feel like you understand, you feel like they understand you. And when I go to other ones that are like up to hundreds of people in the room, most of the people basically spend the time on their phones checking emails, if I'm honest. So it doesn't really work. And
Yeah.
like you, I get very invested in my clients. And once I call someone, I talk to them and I find out about them, and you work out, like you do, I'm sure, who they are, you're almost hooked onto them, aren't you? Because you just want to learn everything and you want to be able to help them as much as you can, but not just generically help them, but help the person.
Yeah, when
And do you
people come
find that
here,
to be... Yeah, sorry, go on, carry on.
I was going to say, when people come here, the question, in fact, any class that I run, even one-to-ones, it's like, hey, where are you at? What do you need? And so everything, like, even if I'm teaching the Meisner technique and I've got to go through a certain set of exercises, like, everything is about you and what you need. So, like, I've had people here, you know, that have had big things going on in their life and they've really needed expansion or space. And so instead of going to the usual place that we go for a swim, like, we've gone other places so that they can get what they need. Or, you know, like, if the you know, like, I mean, I send my children come up to class sometimes, and I'm specific about it, you know, like, because they're just the greatest teachers. And so if I've got people who are, you know, in their heads or forgetting to be present or have gotten stuck somewhere, like, there's not much better than a bubbly, bouncy, big blue-eyed blonde boy running up to the studio, like, really happy to see everybody, asking them to play crocodiles, you know, like, and they're not disruptive, but like, they bring something. And so no matter what people are needing when they're here, like, I will find a way, I will create a way to help them. And if that means, like, well, there's just a dance to be danced, isn't there? You know, we're all dancing. And like, if we become really rigid in our way of working, then we've stopped dancing. Like, you know, it's like me coming to you being like, no, I will not dance your waltz, I'm dancing the tango, you know. And it's like, and then us trying to, like, come together to dance together, it's never going to work, is it?
Yeah.
Whereas if we were both like open and we started to find a way to dance together, creating our own dance, you know, it's like
let's do
those
the merengue instead of marimba.
exactly. It's like those great big beautiful tall trees. They you know, the really tall skinny ones, like, I look at them and I'm like, how are you even standing, you know, like, and you can see them, like, getting blown in the wind, and it's like, and they've just got these like incredible roots down into the ground, which is allowing them to stand tall. The only way that they survive is by moving with the wind rather than against it. You know, we need to be adaptable and flexible and malleable, and yeah, that's how I do my best work. Definitely dancing the dance.
No, that's really good. That's really good. So where do you find is the best first step with people? So what, you walk into the room and there they are and they want to be talked to, and how do you work out where you're going to go? How do you work out what's going to happen?
I ask them. And so, like, depending on the retreat, I will, depending on the retreat, I'll be like, right, this is what we're going to do. And I'll have a plan. And then they'll arrive and I'll meet them and I'll go, I need to make some changes. And then in the morning, once we've gotten up and we've gone for a walk and we've gone for a swim in the river or the lake, and I'm like, oh, this person's got this going on, or this person's got this going on. Then I change it again. So by the time we even come into the class at 9:30, like the plans change like several times. And then even as we're working together, it changes. But I've got routines, and I've also got my, I use a lot of music. So music's like my co-pilot, really. So yeah. And again, even with the music, like it adapts with me, with what people
So you don't have
need.
a set playlist on your Spotify then, just for people?
No, I've got playlist. Everybody that trains with me gets access to the playlist. It's called, so essentially I'm creating auditory anchors. You know, when you hear a song and suddenly you're back in 1999 and you're like, oh my God, I remember when I was in the park and I was wearing that sequin dress. That classic situation.
Happens more and more every day, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's basically what I do. So I use music to anchor certain moments. And then I give them all the music. So when they leave here, they've got a playlist that they can put on at any time, just to remember to breathe and to come up and out and to like honor who they are and to remember how connected and how brilliant it feels to be connected. I often get messages from people of just like screenshots of certain songs that we've played and listened together, and you know, just them saying like, oh, I was in this dark place and I've just put this on and now I'm feeling much better and I'm off to an audition, or you know, it's so yeah, music is a crucial. In fact, I ran a class. Sorry, I think I just shouted at the microphone then. I ran a class in Manchester recently. I ran a class in Manchester recently, and there's usually a speaker there, and there wasn't a speaker, and I was like, I had to really gather myself because I didn't have my co-pilot. You know, like it's like, what am I going to do without the music? So I grumbled for a bit and stumbled my way through the start, and then found my groove. But yeah, it's very, very, very important.
I think there is a big link towards music and how we are in our life. So yeah, I can totally understand how linking those two together works really well for you. So what would you say is the biggest thing that people get out of your retreat, your course, I guess?
Well, last week or the week before, I was in Leeds, and I was running a stretch day at Leeds Playhouse. So I had 12 actors who I've trained before come back just to have a play. And I started the day as usual. How are you doing? What do you need? And so many of those actors were like, Steph, I'm doing well. Like, I am holding myself. I am proud of myself. Like, I've got X, Y, and Z going on in my life. It's not like life is easy, but I am proud of the way that I'm showing up for myself, my relationships, my work. Me being me, was just like crying because that's like, you know, like these people, these are people who have like come to me not liking themselves. They're people who haven't trusted themselves, who have been really low in confidence. You know, their voice is really high and wispy in their heads because they're so disconnected from their bodies. These are people who, you know, have just like, and so for them to turn around to be like, Steph, like I'm doing well. You know, it's like, that is very cool. In fact, that same day, I got a message from another actor. Well, it's not an I did that, because you can lead a horse to water and the horse won't drink, you know? Like, I would love to take credit, you know, but they are not mine. Like, loads of other actor trainers are like, my actor's just got into this production, my actor, and it's like, they are not mine. You know, these are people who have paid me to help them, you know, and they are people who have heard and listened and practiced and taken themselves serious enough that they have put the time and the work and the energy into themselves. I will never claim them as mine, or my successes either. Like, I mean, hopefully they'll get some BAFTAs or some, I don't know, fancy awards or something, and they'll be like, thanks, Steph. But
this is for you.
like, I can't do that work for them, you know? Like, it takes so much courage to do that work for yourself, you know, to, like, some people are, there's like a grid. Down here is the life happens to me grid. Down here is the life happens because of me. So, like, I'm working really hard to make life happen. Up here is the life happens through me. And so, like, you know, there's the people that are like, I have no control over anything. And, you know, life keeps on happening to me and I can't do anything about it. But, like, when you're up in that top grid, life happens through me. Like, there's that, like, again, we're into that adapting resilience place, that, you know, the big tree moving with the wind, like, like, we're working together and there's a lack of resistance. Like, it's, I show up and I will be moved, and life can be hard and easy and messy and all this stuff, but I'm not gripping at it. And so the people who are changing, the people who are going, I am worth fighting for. Like, I want my life to be easier. I want my work to be easier. I want balance and safety, and I absolutely deserve it. And I deserve boundaries, and I deserve respect. Like, they're the people that are, like, they're the ones that are changing, you know? It's very amazing.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And, like, we've talked before, and you said that a lot of it, there's the whole spirituality and science aspect of it, but you're much more excited about the science part of it, aren't you? And I mean, tell us more about the science of it. I mean, we've talked about the three hearts, but tell us more about the science in the brain, about how this really helps you.
Well, so we've got, all of us have got an autonomic nervous system. Apart from most people don't know what an autonomic nervous system is. So if you break the three words down, autonomic is automatic, you know, happening without conscious control. Nervous, nerves, where are your nerves? Well, they reach every part of your existence. And a system is where one affects another, affects another, affects another, you know? And so it's like, shouldn't we all know about this thing that we've got inside us, that it's happening without our conscious control? It affects every and reaches every part of our body and our existence, and and it's like, and it's all working together, you know, even when one part of it isn't functioning well, it's then affecting the rest. Like, that's just something that we should know about, right? So I spend a lot of time with people really looking at the autonomic nervous system and how, you know, so like fight or flight. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So fight or flight is this.
Sorry, I did say it, but probably can hear me.
It's survival, right? It's the bear's coming at me. Do I fight it or do I run away from it? So it's so we and most of us are living in this sympathetic dominant state where of stress. Like this is such a place of tight, squeezy stress where cortisol is being flooded into our bodies, which is creating like great wear and tear on us without us even noticing until we start to notice. But most people aren't listening. Most people aren't going, oh, my skin's flared up for a reason. Oh, I've got what's that called? The thing on the lip.
Cold sore.
Yeah, cold sore. That's the body going like, hello, you're literally not listening to me. Please listen to me. Migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, depression, anxiety, like I'm all the way through like 90% of the reason why people go to the doctor about the big stuff and the little stuff is caused by stress, by stressing, So like when I work with people, I help them understand what it actually, like people throw the word stress around without actually paying attention to like what that is. And it's a thing that we do, it's not a thing that happens to us. Like I do stressing. It's a thing that I do. It's a process that I am doing, So as soon as I can start to understand like, oh, it's a thing that I'm doing and this is how it's affecting me, like I'm not thinking clearly, I'm not sleeping well, I'm snapping at people, I'm making I have really unhelpful thoughts, like I keep on getting stuck. It's like once you can start to pay attention to the detail of who you are and how you are doing what you're doing, you can then start to do that differently, so like, and it's not about like, it's not about like somebody said yesterday about positivity. It's not about being all shiny and positive all the time. Like life is fucking hard sometimes, like it will keep on coming at you and there'll be beautiful moments and there'll be hard moments. The question is, can you in those moments come home to yourself, pay attention to what it is that you're doing in your body, your physiology, like really specifically, like, oh, my eyebrows are squeezing, my jaw's clenched, like I'm not breathing, and if you actually know and understands the science behind what happens when you don't get enough oxygen into your body, you can like, it means that you can logically be like, well, of course my thoughts are unhelpful and paranoid or all or nothing thinking. Like of course they are, because I'm not even, my breathing is so high up in my chest, like the oxygen isn't being able to reach my body to give my body what it needs, and so my body's gone into survival, so of course my thoughts are like all over the place. So I work with actors and people, humans, to understand the stuff. Why does everybody tell us to take a breath? It's like, I was just about to swear again. I just need to keep the old swearing on the down low. We get told to take a breath and it's like, most people don't know why. Like, why am I being told to take a breath? But when you start to understand,
well, even people that have
this
attacks
is
and things like that, you calm them.
Yeah.
You need to calm them, don't you, and slow their breathing down to help them, and then they just come out of it.
Yeah, right. Well, there's the thing about details. So when you're in the sympathetic nervous system a lot, or when you're down in the dorsal vagal, like there is, which is that like numbing out, what's the point place, maybe you know it. Neither of these places, the sympathetic or the dorsal vagal, neither of them have detail. There is no detail. Like up here, we're moving too fast to pay attention to the detail. We're squeezing too much to pay attention to the detail. And down here, the world is kind of wishy-washy and fuzzy and hazy, and there's no detail. So by taking that breath, letting the oxygen flood back into your body, and like reminding your body that you are actually safe, and that email ping or the buzz of your phone or whatever like isn't life or death, then you can start to pay attention to the detail again. You know, when you go and see a sun, like I've been up a lot this week seeing the sunrises, and they've been absolutely stunning. You don't just go, oh, that's a nice sunrise. When you're connected, when you're actually like full of awe, you go like, oh, look at the colours. And can you see over there how the colour is like just touching the trees, and how everything's just got this red tint? And oh, did you see the heron just fly by? You know, like there's details.
Yeah. And you feel it.
And you feel it. Absolutely. Feeling it is like, you know, so talking about the head, heart, gut stuff, like, so often I'll say to someone, how do you feel? Or how does that feel? And they'll say, I think it feels, you know? So like you've got heads talking for the heart. Like we know, like I feel like we all know comes from our hearts. We don't think about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so like everything that I do is about bringing the head, which is, our head is our visionary. Our head is like where we see the stuff, we start to make a plan, we get the diaries out and the spreadsheets out. It's our logic, our meaning making. It's where we get the clarity of thought. Like our heads are just incredible, and we give them such a hard time. Our hearts are where we hold our values, and it's the place of connection and relations. And you know, we all know what our hearts are, really, don't we? And then our bellies, our guts are probably the most complicated, but it's where around 75% of our immuning is built. Even the stuff that gets released in our heads is built down in our bellies. And so immuning is self, not self. You know, like, so my son, he's been really poorly recently, and he's been projectile vomiting. Thank you, Fox. And you know, and that's his body going, whatever is in me, like not me, get out of me, you know. So our belly is our place of identity. It's who we are. It's, this is who I am, this is who I am not. So when our sense of self gets challenged, we feel it in our belly. You know, like earlier when he said, so who are you? It was like, my belly's like, I don't know who I am. Who am I? You know, it's that stuff. And it's also, it's where our sense of boundaries are, and our sense of self safety, and it's our movement. It's where we take action or get stuck. So when you, so like you said about feeling, it's where I've gone off on my tangent, that we need to bring our heads, our creativity centers, and our hearts, our compassion centers, and our bellies, which is our courage, you know, we got to bring those together so that we can show up whole. And most people, they really like sidestep the feeling and the movement, because like many people are being led by the head instead. And so much of my work is about, in as many ways as I can, just bringing the head and the heart and the belly back together. I love it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, do you ever see, I call them light bulb moments. Do you ever see with your students, your clients, your people, when they have that light bulb moment?
I do.
When it's like a click. Oh my goodness, I get it.
Yeah. There's so there's like two. There's the in the moment big light bulb moment, like where it's like, and your life will never be the same. And then a lot of people really want those moments, but those moments are like, not everybody will have those. Other people, it will be like little change, little change, little change, little change, until they get to a point and they look back and they go, oh my God, look how far I've come. And actually that's most people are that. They just forget to look back to see how far they've come. Have I seen and felt light bulb moments? Like, absolutely. Oh, like many, many that are ingrained in my heart. And there's one guy who I was doing, it's kind of like trance work, and he'd come in and he had his cap on and his hood up and eyes down to the floor, and like this real sense of disappearing and void and avoiding, and during this trance work he just like sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And we had a break. Everybody went off and got a coffee, and he was still sobbing, and I just sat near him, and he just until it was over, And he wasn't there going, God, this is so painful, sobbing. There was just like this release that he had never had before. And afterwards, it was like, am I actually seeing the same person here? So my days talk about change. There's a guy that I worked with just recently. What a human. So he was a lawyer, and he's lecturing law, and he's wanting to just follow his heart into what he loves after many years of not, and he came to my class in Manchester November, I think, and he was grey, like his skin was grey, and his legs were out and his arms were folded, and there was just this real, like, his head was back here, heart here, like there was no alignment at all. And he came back the next day for the stretch, and by the end of the stretch he was like literally a different colour. His skin had completely changed colour, and at the end of that class he booked to come to Wales the next day to do 3 parts with me. And like, people were like, what happened there? Like, this is not the same man. This is like literally not this. Like, he had the life pumped back into him. Like, he was awake and here and ready, and his heart had gone from like bum to like vum, and it was just like, and he's come back. He did the stage to screen with me recently, and he came to the stretch retreat in December. Just watching that man, like, I have so much love for that man and the courage that it took to show up and make those changes in him. Like, it's what I live for.
Why you do what you do, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And that's amazing. I mean, would that be your favourite part of your whole career? Your whole job, your life?
One of them, definitely. Yeah. Watching people learn to show up for themselves is just the most magic thing, and like, so I work with quite a lot of, like I said earlier, people at different points in their career, and there's some people that I'm working with that are like on our TVs, and And people will be like, "Oh, how's so and so doing?" And what they're meaning, what they're asking is, "How are they doing in their career?" And I'm like, "But
Yeah,
I've just assumed that they mean like, how are they doing in their hearts or their sense of self?" And it's like, like, of course, I want people to go where they want to go, and I want to help them get the tools that they want so that they can go and be the human, the friend, the actor, the creator, the maker, the director that they want to be and they long to be, like, of course. But I don't really
yeah,
care, like many acting coaches, it's all about like, I've got so and so into this job, and like, I my greatest achievements are not the jobs that they've gone and got. It's the way that they're showing up for themselves. So like there's
yeah,
this one guy who I totally adore. He'd done series 1 of SAS Rogue Heroes, and
yeah,
and then he'd done season 2 after training with me, and like I coached him when he was out filming. And, it's like little things. So like instead of being all heavy and like down and in that kind of darkness of like, I need to, work really hard at my job and like pull up all the hard stuff of my life. It's like people would say to
yeah,
him, "Oh, it's your big scene tomorrow." And he's like, "No, no, no big scene. Like it's all just as important as the rest." It's like it's
yeah. Just
those
another thing.
moments that I'm Yeah, right. It is those moments that make me go like, yeah, because those individuals, like actors are renowned or, so actors are not respected. Like, let's face it, often. They are not respected often. They're replaceable. And if you're not going to do it, then I'll find somebody else. Um, and the thing that I'm paying attention to is like, why are they not respected? And most actors are chaotic and have a distinct lack of grounding, a distinct lack of trust in themselves, distinct lack of respect for themselves. Um, like they're not committing to their friends and their family or their job. They're just like in this limbo land where they're going, "Oh, well, like people will be like, oh, I want to come and train with you, Steph. What if I get a job?" And I'm like, what if you just commit to the training, don't apply for jobs that come
Yeah,
up in that period of time, knowing that this training is going to help you get the jobs you want in the future. But they're like, "Oh, I don't know, because committing to that, this might come up," and da 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 da. Like, so my work with actors is about like, don't let this be everything for you. Like, learn who you are and how you are and how you're showing up. Learn, like, when it is that you need to say, "No, this job is not for me," or "Yes, you're an asshole, but I'm going to work with you or for you because I've made an aligned decision. I've thought about it. It feels right. I'm going to go and do it." Or "I've thought about it. It doesn't quite
hmm,
feel right, but I need the money. So I need to have a conversation with my heart and my gut in order to bring them into alignment so that they can go and uh, like be in this industry." And one person, like, we can't demand we can't demand that the industry respects actors. Like, we cannot demand that. But what we can do is one actor at a time, just turning up with clarity and self-respect and trust, and like there's no drama. They show up, do their job, put their job down, go home and hang out with their cat or their friend or whoever it is that they go and hang out with on an evening. Like, and the industry will change. Like, it has no choice but to change if we have more and more and more and more and more actors that are turning up,
yeah.
like owning who they are. That's what I care about.
I think it happens in every industry because even in my industry, there are people who are pretty rubbish at their job. Because they're cheap,
Mm,
people go to them and
mm,
they don't do a great job, but they don't cost much money. So it's kind of like, buy cheap, buy twice. But in any
mm,
part of the industry, you'll always find people that aren't very good, but they're easy to get. They're cheap. You don't have to pay them very much, and it means the people that would have been really good at the job don't get the chance. However, if we change things, like you say, make it more of a, the quality all comes up. There's going to be less of that. There's going to be a lot better. People that are better will get chosen because the quality will be what is aimed for, rather than just the cheapness of it. And I'm looking forward to that day.
So there's people, so we are all uniquely us, like I am uniquely me. There is nobody that can do me as well as I do. Well done, me. And then there are certain things that are more likely to get us a job because people have criteria, and not just the criteria, but so for me, it's really important that the work that I do is representative of a wider demographic. So it's not about box ticking, it's about what sits in my heart as a value. Either way, there is reasons why somebody might get the job over somebody else, so when I work with people who have I've had several conversations actually with people going I'm tired of being chosen because I tick a box. And I'm like, oh my God, let yourself be someone who ticks a box, and then be brilliant. Don't just tick a box and then go and be average. Tick a box and be brilliant.
Yeah.
I see shows and stuff on screen where I'm like, nah, that's not good enough. But they've made a choice for whatever reason. So wherever you are, basically, whoever you are, whatever shape, size, color, way your brain works, whatever makes you, be excellently you, and go and do excellent work. There's too many people that are doing work that isn't good enough. I don't see enough theatre now in Wales. It's quite hard to see theatre this far away, but often I see stuff and I'm like, it's not good enough. What is this? It's not good enough. People just need to be better, take their craft more seriously. People go and do 3-year, they go drama school 3 years and then they're done. And it's like, no, you're not done. You are your instrument. If you had a trumpet, you'd clean it. You'd go and clean your reeds. You'd polish it up. I'm sure, you were saying that you do a lot of training, with the mortgage stuff. You'll be keeping on top of policies on a regular basis. A banker will be keeping up with, it is literally, it's literally our job to go and keep on top of ourselves. Whereas, so I'm just watching people going, what are you doing? You've not done any practice. Of course you're going to turn up and be rusty because you haven't.
I was going to say, you can tell the difference. You watch a low budget sci-fi channel movie and then you go and watch, I don't know, Marvel or something like that. The difference is unbelievable. And sometimes when you're watching those low budget movies, the acting is so bad, you just think, come on, I could have done this better. What happened? And it's sad. It's sad. But hopefully all that quality will come up.
Film is different. As somebody that's spent hours and 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 hours editing stuff, really, you can you with enough editing, you can get shit actors looking better. And I've spoken to many people that have done a lot of editing, and they when they talk about actors, it's this actor made my life easy. I like this actor. Let them come back so that the editing is an easy process. And then there's other actors that make your life really hard, but you can put the time in and you can help them look better. Theatre, though, there's nowhere to hide.
Is what it is.
So just be brilliant. And enjoy
I completely agree.
Go on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's a bit of a satellite delay today, so I apologise for interrupting you. I was going to say,
It's all good.
without obviously letting out all your secrets, tips, and tricks, do you have any tips for anybody who's sitting there at home now that says, I haven't got the time and the money to do what I need to do? Is there anything you could tell them to do to start off with, just to help them out a little bit?
Hmm. Hmm. There are plenty. So like I do free classes sometimes, you know. They're like if you don't have the money, there are ways of getting the skills, you know. But like get a job, build the money up, you know, and get training. There's not really an excuse if somebody is to be honest, if somebody is sitting there going, I don't have the time and money, they just need to be in a different industry. Like honestly, because if you don't have the money, you need to have the time. And if you don't have the time, then you're gonna struggle because you need to have the time to be able to train, go to auditions, you know, like do a self tape at the drop of a hat, to go and get like, you know, hop from job to job to job. Like you need to have a system that is you need to. It's an art form really to cultivate the world that you live in to support the thing that you love, you know. So if there's friction there, you need to find a way of getting rid of the friction. So if you've got a job that means that there's no flexibility for you to go and do the stuff that you love, then your heart is going to feel really sad, you know, because you won't be able to do the things that you love because you've got no flexibility in the job, you know. So like we really need to be able to look, and our heads are so incredible at solution finding, at creating ways, you know. So like figure it out. And if you don't want to figure it out, then don't be in this industry. Like it really is that simple. And then as far as like things to do, get outside every day. Like every day. And that doesn't have to be like a 3-hour walk, you know. That could be putting your head out of your window for a bit so that you get some fresh air. That might be standing on your doorstep, you know. That might be going for a
careful if you're in
walk,
a flat.
but yeah, like practice connection, because acting is all about connection. And if you're not practicing connection on a day-to-day basis, how are you going to be a present actor? You know, pay attention to the world, be honest. Like, you know, like most people, they bottle things up and they squeeze and they squeeze and they squeeze. And because they're busy bottling and squeezing, they are also forgetting to share themselves, you know. So practice sharing yourself, have honest conversations with people, sit in silence with people, like do things that you love, have a rich world, watch stuff, read stuff, go places, be curious about who you are, you know, like, and who you really are. Write things down, jot things down, doodle. And also share your dream, you know. Like most of us, we keep our dream inside, we don't tell it to anybody, and then we wonder why it's so hard. Like one of the reasons why I take people stand-up paddleboarding on the white waters is because wherever you look is where you'll go. So if you're looking at the rocks, you're going to hit the rocks and you're going to end up in. Whereas if you look at the beautiful V shape of the bubbling water, that is where you're going to go, and you'll like do this really beautiful bounce and you'll stay on your board and you'll go through. Most people are looking at the place that they don't want to go instead of the place that they do. So I suggest that everybody pays attention each day as often as they can. Where do I want to go today? It doesn't need to be the 10-year plan. Where do I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And share that with someone. This is where I want to go. This is my dream. I want an easy day today.
Yeah.
I say it to the boys, like when I've had a hard time. I'm like, guys, I just need an easy day today. I just need a calm and easy day today. And usually they're like, okay, thanks for sharing. And they'll help me out with that. But if I don't tell them, I'm just going to get all squeezy with them and they'll get worse. And then, we need to share ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the top tip.
I think it's interesting to think as well that if you're not willing to give the time and even spend the money to go and do training, you will never get from being a wannabe actor to a training actor. Like if you're already on the road training, you're already on the way to becoming a proper full-time actor, aren't you? Otherwise, you're just going to sit around thinking, I haven't got time, I haven't got money, and you're always going to be a wannabe.
But also, like I work with loads of people who are jobbing actors. They'll do a tour, they'll do a show, they'll do a gig, and so I won't see them for months on end. And then they'll have like a couple of months quiet period and they'll book into class and they'll come. And it'll be wonderful to see them, and I'm not there going, you need to be here all the time, every time, it's like, it's not that. It's when you can, do it. And those people, they know they're working. And of course, we're always learning. And they know that in those quiet periods, their heart and their heart needs to know that it's being honoured, doing the thing that they love, and also just to keep them upskilled and keep them stretched and keep them curious and keep reminding them. Like a lot of people talk about Bodlondeb, my studio, being like a home and a hug, and maybe you go off and you do a job and it ungrounds you or unsettles you. And like a lot of people, as soon as that's happening, they'll be like, when's the next class? When can I come to Bod? And they'll come here just knowing that it's that space to breathe and to slow down and reconnect and remember how much they love it and this community and each other and how easy it actually can be if you let it.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, where can people find you, Stephanie? Where can they connect with you?
They can find me in Wales. So both
it's a big place. You're gonna have to narrow it down.
No. both-feet.co.uk is the website, and both feet acting on the other platforms. And then I'm Stephanie Morgan. I think most of my stuff is S Upsall Morgan, which is my maiden name. And really just get in touch. I do free 15-20 minute chats, so if people want to just come and get a feel for me or ask, tell me what's going on with them to see where I think that they should start with the training or whatever, you just book that chat. And I'm not a salesperson. I'm pretty terrible at sales, actually. So there's not going to be any hard selling from me. I very much trust that if somebody wants to come, if somebody connects with what I'm talking about and what I'm doing, they will do it.
Brilliant.
So do it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing some of your time with us today.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for chatting.
No
thanks for
problem.
doing
Speak
what you're
soon.
doing.
Take care.
Bye.
That's right. Bye. If you would like to guest on the podcast, or if you know someone who would, please get in touch via the website www.mortgagesforactors.com, or look for us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook or TikTok.